All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got this beautiful Mercedes C63 in the garage, fully masked up and ready to go. But before we even touch the spray gun, I want to cover one of the most frustrating problems when it comes to clear coat: fish eyes. If you've ever sprayed clear and ended up with those little craters or dimples in the finish, that's fish eyes. They happen because of contamination, things like oil, silicone, or even a little grease left behind on the surface. In this video, I'm going to show you what causes fish eyes, how to stop them before they happen, and most importantly, how to fix them if they do pop up. So stick around, because by the end, you'll know exactly how to get a smooth, glass-like finish on your clear coat. So before we even got to this stage where the car is masked, let me take you back a little bit and show you what the Mercedes C63 looked like earlier. As you can see here, we had to remove both doors and also the bonnet just to make sure we get full access to every area of the car. When you're spraying, especially with clear coat, it's really important to have panels removed so you can spray edges properly and avoid overspray building up in tight spots. Now here you can also see the primer on the body. We haven't sanded it yet in this clip. This is still the raw state after laying down primer. And just so you know, primer is the foundation of any paint job. If the primer isn't right, the base coat and clear coat won't sit properly, and that's when you start getting problems like peeling, cracking, or even fish eyes. So this is the car in its earlier stage, before any sanding, before masking, before clear coat. Just a solid base to work on. And from here, we'll move step by step to make sure this finish comes out flawless. All right, so here's the base coat we already applied off camera. I didn't record the spraying process this time because the focus of this video is on clear coat, but I still wanted to show you the results before we move forward. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. I drop a lot of step-by-step painting and clear coat tutorials that will help you level up your skills. When it comes to fish eyes, it's important to remember they don't just happen in clear coat. They actually start from poor prep before or during the base coat. Any oil, wax, or even fingerprints left behind can cause contamination. And once you spray clear, that's when those little craters start showing up. So always make sure your panels are properly cleaned, degreased, and dust-free before moving to clear coat. That way, when we lay down the clear, we'll have the best chance of avoiding fish eyes and getting that perfect, glass-like finish. And while you're looking at this base coat, here's something you can do yourself. Grab a clean microfiber cloth and a degreaser, and carefully wipe down each panel before clear coat. Even tiny bits of oil or dust can cause fish eyes later, so taking this step now will save you a lot of headaches. All right, here we go. First pass of clear coat on the C63. Now the first pass is all about laying down a thin, even layer. Think of it like giving the car a gentle hug rather than a full-on bear squeeze. If you lay it on too thick, you're asking for runs, sags, and yes, fish eyes. Speaking of fish eyes, remember, these little craters happen when the surface isn't perfectly clean. Even after our prep and degreasing, it's important to keep your spray technique smooth. Hold the gun about 6 to 8 inches from the panel, move at a steady speed, and overlap each pass just enough to cover without pooling. Another tip: always keep your trigger movement continuous. Stop and go spraying is basically inviting fish eyes to your party. You don't want tiny oil craters crashing your clear coat fun. Notice how I'm spraying in light, even strokes. This first pass isn't about covering everything perfectly. It's about building a foundation. Think of it like a rehearsal dinner before the main event. We're just warming up. Also, watch your environment. Dust, oil, or even a stray fingerprint can ruin this layer. That's why a clean booth, proper masking, and gloves are your best friends. And hey, if you're like me and sometimes sneak a snack nearby, maybe keep the greasy fingers away from the panels. Trust me on that one. As we move along, you'll see the sheen start to develop. Even though it's thin, this layer is critical because it gives the subsequent passes something to stick to without reacting poorly. It's like building a cake. The first layer sets the stage for a smooth, glossy finish later. Remember, Patience is key here. Don't rush. Let your first pass flash for a few minutes, then you can move on to the next coat. A solid foundation now means fewer headaches later and a much happier finish. Okay, first pass done. Looking smooth, no fisheye so far, and we're ready to keep building that mirror-like shine. Now we're moving into the second pass, and this is where things start to really come alive. Unlike the first pass, which was just a light foundation, this coat needs to be wetter and more even, but still controlled. Keep your spray gun moving steadily, about 6 to 8 inches away, and make sure your overlaps are consistent. If you go too dry, you risk orange peel. Too heavy, and you'll invite runs. And if there's any contamination left behind, that's when fish eyes will pop up. The key here is balance, smooth trigger control, steady hand, and keeping that same distance across the whole panel. Think of it like painting with confidence, but not getting cocky. This second pass sets the gloss, and it's what gives the car that deep, glass-like shine we're chasing. All right, the second pass is down, and now we let it flash off. Flash time is super important. This is when the solvents in the clear coat are evaporating and the surface is leveling out. If you rush into the next coat too soon, you trap those solvents, and that can cause defects like solvent pop, uneven gloss, or even encourage fish eyes to spread. A good rule of thumb is to watch the surface. Once that glossy, wet look starts to dull just slightly, that's your signal it's flashed off enough. Depending on the temperature and airflow in your booth, this could take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Patience here really pays off. All right, now we're on the third and final pass, often called the flow coat. This is where you really see the clear coat come to life, giving the car that deep, wet, glass-like shine. On this coat, you want it wetter and smoother than the first two passes, but not so heavy that it runs. Think of it as stretching the clear across the panel like a sheet of glass. Keep the spray gun moving at a steady pace, same 6 to 8 inches away, with consistent overlaps. Here's where fish eye prevention is especially important. By now, if you prepped correctly, wiped the panels down properly, and controlled your spray environment, you should be in the clear. But if contamination was hiding anywhere, this is the coat where it will show. That's why earlier prep and those lighter first passes are so critical. They build a strong foundation that helps minimize problems now. Notice how I'm watching the surface as I spray. I'm looking for even gloss, making sure each panel is flowing out evenly. If you see a dry patch, don't panic. Just adjust your overlap and keep your rhythm. Don't wave the gun around or double back in one spot too quickly, or you'll overload the panel and risk sags or fish eyes opening up. Here's a little tip. The sound of your spray gun can actually guide you. A smooth, consistent hiss means your trigger control is steady. If it sounds choppy or uneven, chances are your spray pattern is too. And remember, patience is key. Don't rush the flow coat. Take your time, keep your hands steady, and let the clear lay down naturally. By the time this third pass settles, you'll have that rich, deep gloss that makes the Mercedes C63 stand out. Once this is flashed off and cured, we can move on to the finishing stages like wet sanding and buffing. But for now, the flow coat is where the magic really happens.